Well, what's up guys? This is Daniel from Arms Family Homestead, and it is a beautiful, hot, steamy spring day. Isn't that crazy? Oklahoma, we go from like dead of winter to summer pretty much overnight. But I've been doing some work in the greenhouse. I haven't done a lot of gardening videos the last couple of years, just because there's been so much going on and so many different things, and the garden videos kind of fell off. But I'm trying my best to bring back some garden videos. And I've been cleaning out all of the winter crops inside the high tunnel. There's not a lot going on in there right now. There's a lot planted. There's just not a lot happening. But I'm fixing to take this TYM tractor and till up, not the whole garden. We're gonna do a few rows. I hooked my tiller up and got the tractor. That is not the ideal size garden tractor. It's a little large for the job, but we're gonna till it up, maybe make some rows in here with the row hipper, and probably outside the greenhouse be planting my tomatoes, squash, zucchini, okra, and peppers. So maybe like 4 rows. We're not going to grow a giant garden. It just gets away from me. I just don't grow as big a garden as I used to. But inside of here, it just does not look like much is going on. But I've spent the last 2 mornings out here cleaning up and redoing everything, and pulled out all the winter crops except just a little bit of spinach, a little bit of kale, and rehabbing beds. I've already planted a little bit. There's not much to see, but I planted some green beans in this bed. I'm not exactly sure what all I'm going to do in here yet. Some of my self-wicking tubs are planted. These 2 I redid with spinach. Those have beet seeds in them. A few more beans. I just wanted to do a comparison to see how well the beans grow in the self-wicking tub versus the raised bed. Don't have those planted yet. Not sure exactly what I'm going to do in there, but I have started a bunch of stuff from seed. It's just, some of it's just starting to sprout, but we've got some trays of beets. This is a couple different radishes, red Russian kale, a New Zealand spinach, Swiss chard, pak choy. All this is okra. It's just starting to sprout. Look at them. Went real fancy and used some clear cups left over from a birthday party. Got a few, those are cucumbers, striped zucchini, cuckoozle zucchini squash, white patty pan squash, golden zucchini, and some yellow squash. All the seeds that I'm planting, I mean, you guys know this. If you've watched me for very long at all of my seeds pretty much are exclusively from MI Gardener. So there's my long pod Perkins okra that I planted. Look at that squash. Italian striped zucchini squash. These are the cucumbers I planted. Biet Alpha cucumber. I don't know. I've never grown those. I have grown these, and I have some planted now. The cuckoozle squash. This is the white patty pan. It's called the white bush scallop summer squash. They're really good. Let's see, all kinds of stuff. There's the red Russian kale, beets, carrots, don't have those planted yet, straight neck squash, all kinds of stuff. Look at that purple coneflower. And if you're looking for garden seeds, check out migardener.com. Use code ARMS10. Luke is a great friend of mine. I was talking to him the other day, and you know, they've almost never gone up on their prices. They had to go up about it last, I don't know, a year or so ago, but he was telling me some of the prices, some of the price changes for seed stock that he buys, like not just doubled, not just triple, like gone up by 4, and just the cost of everything for his business has just skyrocketed, and they're doing their best to keep their seed prices low. So migardener.com and use code ARMS10 to save 10%. He's got just about the cheapest seeds on the market already. But a good friend of mine, go check out his YouTube channel. Just hit 1 million subscribers a couple weeks ago. MI Gardener. Luke is like an inspiration for YouTubers. He's been doing this stuff since he was like a teenager. Anyways, let's get busy. I'm going to take down part of this Premier One net and get the tractor in here and do some tilling, and then probably put up some rows, set up some rows, and have it ready for when we have our tomatoes and squash and okra and all that stuff ready to go. I've never used this tiller on this TYM tractor, so you guys are seeing this firsthand with me. See how it does. I can't imagine this doing anything but awesome. I mean, it's a tiller. I love my tiller. Had it for several years, tilled up my garden with it a bunch. We're gonna go low, crank up those RPMs. Never tilled my garden with a hydrostatic tractor either, so a lot of firsts going on, but we'll see what it does. It's gonna take a couple passes. Our ground is as dry as it can be and hard right now. Kind of ashamed of the way my garden looks, honestly, but it is what it is. It's definitely going to take a couple passes, but that's normal. I mean, there's nothing to do with the tractor. It's just ground is hard. It's starting to look pretty good, though. All right, well, got it all tilled up. I wasn't gonna do the whole thing, but I figured while I had the tiller on, I might as well come over here and finish it off. As you can see, see those darker spots right there? I had some raised rows from actually 2 years ago, I guess. And when you come through with that row hipper and you build a row, and then you don't come back and till it down later, you can't even mow. So I basically left those raised, they're not raised beds, but beds raised up from row hippers. And that's the next thing I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go take the tiller off and put my row hipper on. Some of you probably never seen a row hipper. It's a technique of gardening that I learned from the Web Cajun, the old Bayou Gardener YouTube channel. Donald is long past now, but his way of gardening sure influenced the way I garden for years. And I really like the row hippers. Make a nice rounded raised bed, nice straight rows. And if you run drip tape, you can run your drip irrigation right down the top of it. And then when we get those 2-3 inch giant rains that come through, they don't flood my garden out because the plants are actually up on that raised bed, and it pulls up a lot of good soil. I love my raised beds inside the greenhouse, and I think eventually I'll probably build some raised beds out here and quit tilling up the ground, because I know it's not the best practice. There's a real hard pan from that tiller underneath about 4 to 5 inches of loose soil here. But the row hipper and the beds that it makes is similar to a raised bed. So that's what we're gonna do next. Had to stop and take a lunch break. You know, since I'm putting in your garden and all of your greens inside the greenhouse.
That's sweet of you.
I figured I'd come in here and at least show everybody why I like to grow so many fresh greens. Because my wife juices them by the gallon.
Yeah, I do.
So this is our lunch today. What are we having? Spinach, kale, apple, carrot.
And I'm gonna have a little bit of grapefruit.
Ugh, gross. Can't do the grapefruit juice. Can you do grapefruit juice, Earl? Because I don't like it. I see some cucumbers too, though, by the way.
Yeah.
Can't wait till we have our own cucumbers, our own fresh greens.
Yep.
I'm ready for a garden.
Me too.
You're going to help me garden this year, right?
I'll help you pick it.
Like pick out seeds, and that's about it, or you're just not a gardener, are you?
No. Nope.
But you do like the juice.
Yeah. Well, you got a little foamy stuff.
Well, that's a little on the green side.
Getting my chlorophyll today.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Well, give us a taste test. Let us know how it is there, chlorophyll lady.
Mine's gonna be better because that's
No.
Yeah.
No, you keep that grapefruit.
So good.
Is it?
So good.
Is it as good as fried catfish and tater tots?
I'm teetering.
It's just better for you. Okay, back to work. Lunchtime's over. Green juice for lunch today. Some days my wife and I cook a nice healthy meal for the two of us for lunch, and some days we just juice, and today was a juice day. But I spared you guys the headache and pain of watching me unhook the tiller and hook up my row hippers. But so this is a set of row hippers or a hiller. I actually have one little modification on there. It's pretty simple to see. I put a piece of sea purlin on there with a couple clamps because when this thing makes a row, that piece of sea purlin just smooths off the top and makes it nice and flat. So the way this works is you've got two discs that go down into the ground, and as you drive, it makes a perfect hill behind you. It's got a set of cultivators on here that are meant to follow in your tracks. You line that up with your rear tires and kind of pulls your tracks up somewhat behind you. That's not always perfect, but I'm just gonna do 4 beds today is all we're gonna do. So yes, this tractor's way overkill, as I've said, but it'll work. And then we gotta get the fence put back up because Bella loves playing in the soft, fresh dirt. Same with Earl. So let's get some beds made. Better watch out, Earl. Well, my sea purlin was not adjusted properly on the first pass. Either that or we just didn't pull up enough dirt to actually make much of a tall hill, a tall bed. We're going to give it another pass. That's why I've got that adjustable top link, the hydraulic top link on the top. So see if we can get any more dirt. And there you have one raised row. It's not perfect. We didn't pull up near as much dirt as what I had hoped, honestly. So the sea purlin on top really didn't do us any good. But you can see, here's what that hard pan I was talking about. It's only, you know, fresh tilled dirt for about 4 inches, and then it's super hard down there. But this gives our plants a huge amount of fresh soil to grow roots in, and then they'll eventually get down into that hard pan. But that's a lot of good soft dirt. Nice, fairly straight row. Not perfect, but we got about a 50-foot row here. And this will be perfect for either my tomatoes and peppers, squash, okra, probably not okra. Need to leave a little bit of room from the door. But then we'll come over, put our tire track right in the tire track that's already there. And our next bed will be right in here. And there you have it, 4 rows are ready to plant. And I probably could have adjusted this a little bit better. This is still all set for my last tractor, my Kubota tractor. So the sweeps weren't exactly pulling up my tracks. The cultivators back here weren't pulling up my tracks. But really, that's not okay. I'm not trying to cultivate those walkways right now. So you can see the tire tracks in the walkways. And that's not entirely bad, honestly, because it's packed in there. And now I've got a perfect little walkway. And my rows are on about 48-inch centers. So 4 rows, 4 feet apart. That gives me plenty of room for okra, squash, tomatoes, the bigger plants that take up a lot of room that, yes, I can do in the high tunnel, but they take up a lot of space, so we're gonna do those out here this time. You cows found all the stuff that I cleaned out of the greenhouse, huh? Threw a bunch of old greens and some spinach and different things out here, and got the cleanup crew out here working. What do you think, Joe? Yeah, good talk. All right, well, let's put this Premier One fence back up. I'm not gonna do any planting today. Probably am gonna go into town when I pick up the kids and pick up some tomato plants and pepper plants. Usually I would grow those from seed, but this year, sometimes it's just easier. We're not gonna plant but about maybe 5 tomato plants and maybe 5 pepper plants, and then we'll be set. All right, guys, well, it's been a couple days since we tilled the garden and got everything built up on the rows. I'm glad I didn't go ahead and plant my tomatoes and peppers and squash and stuff already, because we actually got down into the mid-30s the other night, and it could have frosted my plants just a little bit. But I did go to the garden center and pick up a few tomatoes and peppers. I'm not going overboard on the tomatoes and peppers this year. We just want a few. So as far as tomatoes, I got an Early Girl, I bought a Sunbright, a Better Boy, and Super Fantastic. The only thing I didn't get was a couple like cherry tomato plants. They didn't have any in stock when I went, so we'll go back and get some of those later. They had some really big bell pepper plants. These are Purple Beauty. The only jalapenos they had were 6-packs, and they're only about 4 inches tall, but that's all right. 6 jalapeno plants will be way more than enough for us. But check this out. Just since I talked to you guys the other day, in just a couple days, look how much growth we've got. For some reason, my yellow squash seeds haven't popped up yet. May have to replant some of those. Golden zucchini, the white patty pans, pretty much all the squash. Cucumbers are coming up. All of this is okra. I need to come in here and thin those to 1 plant per cup. And then check this out. We got hailstone radishes popping up. That is bok choy or pak choy, depending on who you are, where you're from. No kale seeds have popped yet. No spinach. The beets, I don't see any beets up, but you can kind of tell a few places where they're starting to bust through the soil. Just no leaves yet. So I think I'll go ahead, throw my tomatoes and peppers in the ground, and get those thrown in the ground out here outside. Could plant them in here. I will say this, putting squash, okra, tomatoes, and peppers in here is just fine for me. I can open up all the vents and it stays plenty cool in the summertime. It just gets really crowded. I know this is a big greenhouse, but when you start putting squash in here that spread 4 or 5 feet, okra that gets 6, 8 feet tall, and tomatoes that turn into these giant plants in here in the summertime, just doesn't make sense really. If you're gonna do very many, just do it outside in the garden. Now when I'm planting tomatoes, I'm gonna plant these things deep. You can't do this with a lot of other crops, but tomatoes, I'm probably gonna plant this in the ground up on the stem about that far. I'll just pinch off these lower limbs, and tomatoes have these little fine hairs all along that stem. And once you get this underground, all of those little hairs will turn into roots. And I know some people that will even plant them in the ground horizontal like this and turn it up at the end. I don't want to break the stem, but you can do that and you'll get roots popping down everywhere. So we're going to dig us a nice deep furrow and put this little guy in the ground. That's one thing that makes it nice about planting on these raised rows is I'm not digging down into that hard pan. I'm just in this nice loose soil. Pull everything in around it. And then within I don't know, we'll give it a day or two, but we'll put a cage around this tomato. But planting it down deep like that keeps the wind from breaking that stem. It's nice and tucked in. The roots are down 6, 8 inches, maybe even a little farther than that to the bottom of the roots. And this tomato should do great for us. You better stay away from my garden. No free meals here, buddy. Well, there you have it. Tomatoes planted. I spaced them about 4 feet apart. Give them plenty of space. We got plenty of room, no reason to crowd them. Peppers planted about 18 inches apart. It'll come in with my big tomato cages that I make and put around the tomatoes, and then the tomato cages that you buy at the box stores that I call junk. I think they're a scam for tomatoes like this, the little small ones that you poke in the ground. That might work for a small Roma plant, a small determinate type tomato, but to me they make the perfect pepper cage. When your pepper plants get loaded down, it gives them lots of support. So got a good start on the garden, got lots of seedlings growing in here. It'll probably be, I'm gonna say, another 2 weeks before we really put out all the squash and zucchini, maybe a little bit longer than that on the okra. You want it nice and warm before you put your okra out. There's no reason to plant it too early because it's going to thrive in the heat. But anyways, that's going to wrap it up for today. Guys, be sure to check out migardener.com. Use code ARMS10 to save 10% on seeds. Luke's got the cheapest, best quality seeds you can find on the internet. And he's a personal friend of mine. He's always supported us, and just a great family, great small business to support. But anyways, guys, that's all I've got for today. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Y'all have a great day, and as always, we'll see you on the next video.